The wide slice serve is a critical tool to have in your toolbox. It pulls opponents out of position, opens the court up for you to hit into it, exposes their usually weaker backhand side, and forces them to run twice as far for their next shot, if they even get to it at all. Let's take a deep dive into how you can develop this powerful weapon step by step. Hey, my name is Ian, and over the years, I've helped more than 1 million tennis players improve through my videos, podcasts, and top-rated book on Amazon. Let's jump right in. To develop this weapon, we need two distinct ingredients. We need great placement, in other words, where the ball lands in the service box, and we need some curve to the path of the ball, which is going to draw our opponent even further off the court. And over the last several years, I've been using this phrase to help me pull apart those different ingredients and learn how to master each one. The face sends it, the path bends it. To help me and my students better understand this dynamic, years ago I flew down to Florida to spend an hour on the court with former professional player Tim Smyczek. He's a fellow Wisconsinite. He spent a bunch of time inside the ATP Top 100. And I got to stand behind him and shoot super slow motion video while I asked him to place his serve in different locations using different types of serve, like flat, slice, and kick. So on the left here is a slice serve that Tim hit out wide, and I'll show you the location where that serve lands. There's where it hits in the box, right there. And then on the right here is a flat serve that I asked him to hit out wide. And again, here's the location of the serve. There's where it lands in the box. Exactly the same spot as the slice serve. And if we back both of those serves up to the point of contact and look at the angle of the racket, you'll see that the strings are in fact facing where the ball ends up going, or at least very close in the ballpark. So you'll notice that even though this is a slice serve and this is a flat serve, his racket face is facing the same direction, aka the face sends it. What that refers to is the split second that the ball touches the strings. The ball is only on the strings for about 4 milliseconds, 4/1000ths of a second. In that tiny, tiny split second, whatever angle the strings are facing, the ball is going to be sent in that direction to start off. So what makes each of these serves a wide serve is the fact that even though his path was different, which we'll get into in a second, the moment the ball touches his racket is aiming towards the wide corner on the deuce side. We actually ran our own experiments of this at Essential Tennis, where we had Kevin hit a bunch of serves, and we filmed him from overhead with a drone to look at the difference between a serve that goes right down the tee and a serve that goes out wide. Kevin hit the same flavor of serve on each of these, but when you look overhead at the down the tee serve, you'll see that, surprise, surprise, at the moment of contact, his strings are facing exactly in that direction, towards the tee. And when I asked Kevin to serve out wide, also with a flat serve, this is what it looked like from overhead. At the split second of contact, now his racket is aligned towards the out wide corner. What's really crazy is the difference between the two. If you measure the angle of the point of contact using the baseline as an anchor point, the angle of his racket on the down the tee serve was 9 degrees, and the angle of his racket on the out wide serve was 28 degrees. So the difference between the two extreme points that you can hit your serve in the service box is just 19 degrees. It's just a slight shift in the angle of your hand and the angle of the strings to send the ball in the two most extreme locations within the service box. This is ultimately what's meant by the face sends it. At that tiny, tiny fraction of a blink of an eye that the ball is touching the strings, wherever the strings are facing, the ball will go there. And having mastery over the timing of when you unwind your racket in your hand and exactly where the strings are facing at that instant is how we actually control where the ball goes. That's really hard to do in a big, long swing like a tennis serve. Here's 2 drills that you can do today to start developing and training pinpoint precision with your serves. I'm doing a practice drill here, and you'll notice that the service boxes are broken up into thirds. I have some like plastic colored strips, and so I've created a line. You'll notice that the service boxes on the other side have been broken up into thirds. I have some plastic strips here. I've put down 2 lines. And so the yellow cones are my actual targets, and those are associated with a wide target, a body target, and a tee target. So I've placed specific locations or spots, but I've also broken the box up into zones. And so any ball that I hit when I'm aiming out wide into the out wide zone is a success, but the yellow pinpoint spot would be a perfect 10 out of 10 location. And so with those targets marked out, here's the drills that I recommend you follow if you want to be able to, on command, just hit any spot. The 2 service boxes are broken up into 6 different zones, and the first drill that I recommend you do is hit 5 total serves to each of those 6 locations. So on the do side, hit 5 serves out wide, then move to hitting 5 serves at the body, then 5 serves down the tee. Then go to the ad side and hit 5 serves to the tee, 5 serves to the body, 5 serves out wide. I highly recommend you repeat this for your first serve and your second serve. Yes, that's 60 serves, purposefully, deliberately placing the ball exactly where you want it to go to start to build up your feel about how to release the racket so the strings are facing exactly where you want the ball to go. The more you repeat this, the more precise you'll get, and the more on command you can place your first serve and second serve exactly where you want it to go. Remember, there's only a 19-degree angle difference between hitting the ball all the way to the tee and hitting the ball all the way out wide. So learning how to release the racket at just the right time to just the right place within that long service motion is the key to placing your serves exactly where you want the ball to go. Mastering this huge wide slice serve is going to be huge for your game, but you need to know what to do next after you put it in play, which is why you need to go to tennissecret.com, where you'll learn 3 secrets to make half the errors in your very next match so that you can stand in the right place, master your positioning, and also master your patterns and targeting to be really intelligent, make the game easy for you and hard for your opponents. Pick it up for free at tennissecret.com. The second drill I highly recommend you do is set up the service boxes exactly the same way. And now instead of hitting a total of 5 to each of those 6 sections or zones, now hit 3 in a row. Start with second serves. Hit 3 second serves in a row out wide. Now what you're starting to do is feel the pressure. When you make your first one, great. When you make the second one, great. And now when you step up to the line for the third one, you're thinking, oh man, I really don't want to miss this. And so it adds a little bit of realistic, real life stress or pressure or anxiety, which is critical. You have to be able to execute these shots under the stress and pressure of competition. So again, start with second serves. Hit 3 in a row out wide to the body into the tee on each side. Then hit second serves out wide to the body into the tee. 3 in a row for all of those different combinations, and you will start to develop incredible precision and accuracy. Your peers are not doing this, and so this is the opportunity for you to have a huge competitive advantage. They might be going out and hitting serves, taking out a bucket of balls and just hitting first serves and second serves, but the vast majority of them do not have the discipline or the focus to break the service boxes up into zones, hit first serves and second serves on purpose to each of those locations over and over again. Now that we know how to master the first part of our success formula, the face sends it for precision and accuracy, let's move on to how to bend or curve the ball to really pull our opponents off the court. Going right back to our professional example, again, we have the slice serve on the left, we have the flat serve on the right. Both serves are going exactly to the out wide corner. And now we're going to deconstruct and take a close look at the path of the racket. We already know the face is pointed towards his target, but now let's look at the path, starting with the flat serve on the right. I want you to notice how as he comes up towards the point of contact, look at how the left edge of the racket is lining up with the back of the ball, which means as he goes up to hit the ball, the racket is coming from slightly to the right side of the ball towards the left, which is going to drive the ball towards his intended target of that out wide corner. So in other words, as he goes up to hit the ball, the path of the racket and the angle of his strings are very close to being in alignment. And anytime the path of the racket and the angle of the strings are in alignment with each other, the ball will come off the strings with very little rotation, and instead all of the energy of the racket will be transferred through the ball towards the target, and so the ball will get there as fast as possible and with as little spin and as little curve as possible. That's what a flat serve really means. I want you to notice how as he goes up towards the point of contact, it's the right edge of the racket that's almost in line with the back of the ball. And so what that means is the path of the racket is going to end up traveling more in this direction. as he swings the racket towards the ball, it's moving from left to right. And as the racket moves across the back of the ball in that left to right motion, it's causing the ball to rotate sideways, and that sideways rotation is what's going to cause the ball to curve as it travels through the air and bend off the court. In super slow motion, the difference technically between these is pretty subtle, but the difference in feeling on the court in real life, if you're the one swinging the racket, is huge. The slice serve, it feels like the racket's traveling way out to the side, and on the flat serve, it feels like it's very, very direct, right towards our target. Unfortunately, most everyday tennis players are super locked into a direct, straight path with their racket, even on their second serve when they know they're supposed to spin and curve the ball for safety and margin. This is a recent student that I had hitting a second serve on the ad side, and I want you to look at the path of the racket, how the angle of his strings and the path of the racket are perfectly in line with the direction he's sending the ball, which means he can try all he wants to flip his hand and turn the racket at the last second, but as long as the path is moving in line with his target, which is in line with the angle of his racket face, he's never going to create any significant curve or spin on the ball. Here's the step-by-step drills that I guided him through to start generating a huge amount of slice and curve, and we can apply this and combine it with our location and precision control with the accuracy that we already talked about, and then we're really off to the races. So first things first, we need to get a feel for the contrast between hitting a flat serve, which is what this student normally did, and hitting a big curving slice serve with a lot of spin. And so we're using the lines to help him feel the difference between a flat delivery, which he started with, and now a spin delivery. On the flat deliveries, I'm asking him to use the center service line as a guide and just direct the path of his racket and the face of his strings right down in line with the center service line. Then I'm asking him to use the service line as a guide for changing the path of his racket and going way out to the side. I'm creating this huge contrast so that he can really feel the difference between the two and start to separate in his mind and within his body the difference between the two different paths and the two different types of delivery. If this video has already been helpful, please do me a favor and click the like button. It helps more passionate tennis players see it. Thank you so much for supporting my videos. The second drill is, once he's able to do that on command without a ball, is do a couple spin practice ones out to the side, tracing the service line, and then put a toss up in the air and actually hit the ball while committing to tracing the service line with his path. And so you'll see that now his racket is traveling sideways. It's no longer traveling in line with his target, which is in line with his racket face, which creates no spin, which creates no curve. Now he's really creating a big sideways path, which you can see is starting to curve and spin the ball on the other side. So this is what it looks like. Now he's going sideways. He's coming from the left side of the ball past the back of the ball. That's causing the ball to rotate sideways, which is going to in turn cause it for a righty to curve from right to left. As you practice this at home, another critical thing is to listen to the difference in sound. When your racket comes up behind the ball and hits the ball squarely with a flat racket face, you just hear a typical pop sound. But when you go past the ball like this, you're going to hear a click or a brush sound from the strings moving past the ball and the strings moving and then shifting back into place again. The third drill I recommend you do after you get good at hearing that clicking sound from the service line is move back into no man's land. On this court, we happen to have a blue line here for quick start tennis, which is great because my student can continue to use that line as kind of a guardrail and use it as an anchor point to try to trace the direction of the racket along the line. And so as he does that, look at how his racket path is continuing to go out to the side, move past the back of the ball from left to right. That's what's going to make the ball turn, which is going to make the ball curve. Look at where he's making contact with the ball and look at where his strings are facing. His strings are facing towards the box. So as the ball comes off his racket, the ball is going to go in that direction, but it's the path of the racket that's creating the rotation and the spin. And so it's the combination of those two things that controls the placement of the serve and the curve and the spin on the serve. Finally, I had my student come all the way back to the baseline and now use the baseline as an anchor point to help practice moving his racket out to the side instead of going through the court towards his target. And so you'll see him continuing to swing from left to right across the back of the ball and continue to start to spin and curve the ball. As you practice this, keep listening. From all the way back here on the baseline, you should start to hear a really aggressive, thin cut of the ball across the back. Listen for that clicking sound of your strings moving and shifting back and forth. Once you master your wide slice serve, the next best thing to learn is how to hit a real legitimate kick serve. You'll see a lesson on the screen right now that will show you step-by-step instructions on how you can develop an awesome kick serve. Go check it out. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope it was a huge help. Keep up the great work on your game. I'm super proud of all your effort and all your dedication to getting great at the game of tennis.